Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rachel and class is in session. So those of you just joining me, I'm Dr. Rachel Ross, family medicine physician, clinical sexologist, and today we're going live. Ooh, let me see. Uh-oh, let me see something here. And today we're going live. So the big thing that we're doing today is ghosting. So someone inboxed me and let me know that they had recently been ghosted and they kind of wanted to know a little more about it. So when they really look at ghosting, there's a little data there that we can talk about. We can talk about the science behind ghosting. We can talk about what ghosting is, why me, why did it happen to me, some signs of ghosters, typical characteristics of people who end up ghosting someone. So for those of you who are new to this and don't really know what ghosting is when you meet somebody, whether in person or online, seems like things are going really well, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they disappear on you into thin air. They don't respond to your text messages. They don't respond to your DMs. They disappear, but you know they're okay, right? Because immediately when someone disappears on you, you're like, maybe something happened. We were talking so much. Now all of a sudden they're gone. Well, then you check their social media and come to find out nothing's wrong with them. They've just decided not to talk to you anymore, right? So what we're going to do is talk about ghosting, kind of the science behind it and everything else. So let's really kind of go right into kind of like a little bit of this. All right. So ghosting 101. What is ghosting? Ghosting's basically like you meet someone for a weekend, like they're there in town, you're there, you guys have a fabulous time, and you feel like when we get back home, we're going to have this great connection. We might start dating, so on and so forth. But what happens is they disappear without a trace. You may have done this, and this may have happened to you at some point. And what I want you to understand that if it is you, and someone has done this to you, I want you to think about this. This is not you. This is nothing you've done. Me. So let's talk a little bit about the stats, what we do know about ghosting. So we know for a fact that feel alone in this. So 1 in 5 people have been ghosted. And what that means is that, look around you. There's 5 people there. At least one of you have been ghosted. So this is fairly common. It happens. And it happens more and more often because if it's happened to you, it makes it much easier for you to then do it to someone else. Well, let's talk about how often we're actually ghosting. So you may feel odd because it happened to you. So what this means is 1 in 4, a quarter of us have all basically disappeared into thin air from somebody who thought that you liked them. So first of all, let's talk about why that's so cruel, right? So you've made this connection. Someone thinks that things are going well. And instead of manning up, or we're going to call it manning up, but girls do it all the time too. But instead of doing that, you decide to take the coward route and disappear into thin air. And what happens is it leaves behind a lot of unanswered questions. So which brings us to the next question. Why does being ghosted hurt so much? So let's think about this. So if you've been watching any of the videos, then you are familiar with a term called frustration attraction, right? And frustration attraction is what works when you're trying to date somebody, right? So frustration attraction is you guys are texting, a little bit of texting, and then all of a sudden you go quiet for a couple hours, maybe even a day or so. The person on the other end of that is now obsessively like, what happened? I mean, what's going on here? They were just texting me all this time and blah, blah, blah. And so what happens, instead of them liking you less and being less interested, they're actually more interested in you. And it has to do with the hormone dopamine and our brain's ability to anticipate. So now you're anticipating the pleasure of actually having this conversation with them and actually figuring out where they went and how could this happen. And we see this in animal studies all the time. Frustration, attraction. The more frustrated you get, kind of the more attracted you get to something. It's kind of like, you know, if you're trying to find something for your kids or something for your nieces or nephews for the holiday, and someone has told you that this is the most fabulous thing going, and you can't find it, what do? You work harder to get it, right? That's frustration. Attraction was just not dealing with love and relationships. So frustration, attraction is one of the main reasons why being ghosted hurts so darn much, right? It hurts your feelings. You've got unanswered questions. It's kind of like, is it something that I did? Is it something that I said? And so without those questions being answered and without there being any closure to it, it all amplifies and it hurts really bad, because in your head, every time you meet somebody that you could potentially be with, what do? You know, especially if you're at that point where you want to settle down, right? You start to envision what this is going to be like, right? Where are we going to get married? What would our kids look like, right? So you've imagined all of these things, and now all of a sudden, peep, this person that you thought could potentially give you all those things, and that the person that you were envisioning doing these things with is now all of a sudden gone, ghosting you. That is why it hurts so badly. So let's talk about who are the people who are more prone to do ghosting, right? Now, of course, this is going to be a person who's kind of coward-like, right? They don't like confrontation. They don't want to have difficult conversations, and they're lazy. So instead of doing that, they just kind of disappear into thin air so that they don't actually have to have those difficult conversations. They don't have to tell you anything. And they're not going to text you. They're not going to call you. They're just kind of like, it doesn't matter if they know or not. So another thing about this is it's disrespectful, right? So they didn't respect you enough to give you the information, but at the same time, I don't want you to automatically put them in the trick bag of being like a bad person, because oftentimes this is the same thing with liars, right? Sometimes they have the best intention. You know, oh, it'll be easier on you if I just disappear than it would be if I actually tell you the truth. So there's a little bit of cowardice there. But also what we know is the people who are more likely to ghost are ones who believe in soulmates. So what they did is they did a study, because ghosting is becoming so prevalent. They actually did a study, and the aim of the study was to figure out, okay, what's the personality type of someone who will disappear on you into thin air? So the person who disappears most readily and ghosts you is someone who's kind of like a daydreamer. They believe in soulmates. So all of a sudden they've realized that you are not their soulmate. And so they're just going to sit around and wait until the next soulmate comes around. But they're not going to tell you that they've figured it out. They're just going to disappear. All right. So let's talk about why would someone even do this to you, right? Like, we know we know why it hurts, but let's talk about some of the reasons behind it, because I really want you to walk away from this video understanding that it really has nothing to do with you. You could have done everything right. You know, you did this, you did this. I don't necessarily think it's 100% that you need to change anything, other than getting so wrapped up into them that it hurts when they leave. But maybe let's talk about why they do it, and then talk about some signs so that maybe you can, you know, see it in advance the next time, particularly if you're somebody that this just keeps happening to. All right, so let's see. Let me see why. I'm going to do this one. Why they go. Why do people ghost? Okay. Now, so think about it like this. You meet somebody. Maybe it's online, maybe it's in person, but they've got something else going on. They have somebody at home that they've been trying to work it out with. It's not really going right, but they still want to keep trying. So they ghost you because now all of a sudden that person wants to try again. Or maybe that person found out that they've been texting you or messaging you. So one of the main reasons that people ghost is because they've got something else going on and you're not part of it and you never were. And so they're going to go back to what it was that they were doing before they met you. So that's one of the main reasons people ghost. Another reason is that, you know, it's easier to ghost you than it is to tell you the story, to tell you the truth. And what you'll find is, particularly now that we can hide behind social media and texting and direct messaging, it's just much easier to lie and to disappear. And so that's why people do it. Because here's the thing, when what they're trying to do is a strategy called an avoidance strategy. And with avoidance strategy, what we know is that the whole idea is that they want to break up with you. This is a breakup technique. They want to break up with you, but they want to avoid telling you and everything all at the same time. So what this does is it allows them to break up with you, to avoid telling you, but at the same time you still find out because you get a chance to see them on social media living their best life, right? So you know they're okay. You know they didn't die in a car accident. You know they're out there, but they're just not talking to you. So what ghosting does is allows them to kind of do this avoidance strategy, break up with you and avoid you altogether, but you still know the deal. You still know it's over. Right? So that's another reason why they ghost. Another reason is, you know, think of it like this. Oftentimes when people are online meeting you, they're cheating on someone, right? And if you happen to have a jealous partner or somebody who picks up the phone or the DMs and finds out that they've been texting or messaging you, they will ghost you because now they're in trouble. They have to ghost you. So keep in mind, most of the time when you're getting ghosted, it has nothing to do with you. There's another reason that they're doing is they're trying to hint. They just kind of want to hint around that, you know, they're not interested anymore. And instead of communicating, they just ghost you. And then the main reason that this keeps happening is because it's happened to them. Someone's done it to them before. And once something happens to you, you're desensitized to the emotion behind it. Hey, I got through it. They can get through it too. So, you know, I'm going to disappear without a trace. So these are the types of reasons why people will ghost. This is just a few. But keep in mind that these are generally cowards, people who just don't have, you know, the energy, the respect, or the gumption to kind of go ahead and let you know the real deal. So instead they disappear. Okay? So then the next thing I want to talk about are some signs of a ghoster. Ha ha, ha ha, signs of a ghoster. So this is the person who's like, you talking to them, you texting them or whatever, and they tell you, you know what? You ask them, so how's everything at work one day? And they're just like, oh, I quit. I just walked off. And you're like, what, you quit your job? You just walked off? Like, yeah, I quit. I'm not going back. And this is also the person who, you know, has their mama or you calling sick to work for them. You know, like they can't go to work. They want you to call. Or they ask their mom, they're like, Mom, can you call and tell them I had an emergency surgery or something like that? I'm not coming into work. This is a sign of someone who could potentially be a ghoster, right? Because they're a coward. They don't want to deal with it. They don't know how. So instead of dealing with the tough stuff, they just disappear, right? So another sign that someone is a ghoster is they're real secretive. It's almost like they lead a second life. You get a chance to have moments with them. You ask them questions. You don't get any answers. They're indirect. They're moody every time you ask them something. Well, why are they? Are they hiding something? Is there something they don't want you to know? Well, that's a sign of a potential ghoster because what do we say one of the main reasons people ghost you for? Because they got something else going on that they would rather do than with you and they don't want to have that conversation. Or if they got caught cheating, they can't have the conversation. They have to just cut it off cold. Right? So another sign is someone who's just super into themselves. They don't even see what's going on around them half the time. You know, they just seem oblivious to life. Those people will ghost you because unfortunately, they don't see anything wrong with it. They don't imagine that you would be hurt by it. Doesn't really have anything to do with them. And as a matter of fact, it's easiest for them. So of course, they're more likely to ghost you. And then, you know, like I said before, those people who are like into soulmates, you know, if it feels right, then it is. Those people, we are more likely to ghost people. Like I'm a soulmate person. I'm like, oh, okay, if the energy's right, if it feels good, if it doesn't, oh well. So people who are ghosters tend to have that oh well mentality. Like I can take it or leave it. This may not be the right situation for me. And those people who believe in destiny, they're more likely to ghost you. And then there's the adrenaline junkie, the person who goes from relationship to relationship to relationship because they want that feeling of newness, right? And the minute the newness weighs off, they are onto something else. So if you get the impression that this person has never been in a long-term relationship, they're kind of going from person to person to person, they're on it, you've seen their face on a number of different dating sites, that is a potential ghoster. As a matter of fact, that's at the top of the ghoster list, right? Because they're just out there sowing their oats around. They have no intentions of slowing down anytime soon. And even if they say they have an intention to slow down, they don't know how. Because they're chasing their adrenaline junkies, right? Because remember, passion and that romantic phase of the relationship is fueled by what? Anticipation and dopamine. And so what they're doing is after a relationship settles in to the point where some nights you're just watching TV at home, that's boring to them, right? So they got to go to the next person so they can get more adrenaline. That's a potential ghoster. So ask these questions so you can point these people out in advance so you don't put your heart and your soul into it. And then all of a sudden you're ended up holding the bag like, how did this happen to me again, right? Another thing is these people set expectations that they can't meet, right? This is that person. You probably should have cut them off a while ago. Everything they say they do about 2 out of 10 of those. Like, oh, I'm going to come by a little later, blah, blah, blah. And then they let you know hours later they just didn't make it, or you don't hear from them until the next moment. Those are the people you instead of giving them space, give them distance, cut them off. They're going to consistently let you down. And at one moment in time, they may actually end up being a ghoster. So the whole idea here is that if we can figure out the signs of things, in advance, then maybe we don't go head first into something and end up hurt or in a bad situation, right? And if you keep repeating it over and over again, you got to learn from your mistakes. You got to pick up and keep it moving. But these are some blaring signs, right? And then the other thing is, the people who just kind of seem like they don't really have any respect for you. They don't have any respect for your time. They don't have any, there's just little things that they keep doing that are kind of disrespectful, but not enough for you to cut them off. Those are potential ghosters, okay? So we've talked about the signs of a ghoster. We've talked about why they ghost. We talked about why it hurts so much. We talked about who ghosts. As a matter of fact, the majority of us, a lot of us have actually ghosted and been ghosted. Ghosted and been ghosted. Wow, we could use that word in so many different ways. And so you got to keep in mind, too, that when someone ghosts you, it is a strategy to avoid certain things, certain conversations, to avoid certain situations. So when it happens, it's a strategy. But believe me, when someone ghosts you and goes silent for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they've moved on. They have moved on. Even if they pop back up 2 months later, they have moved on, and so should. All right, so let's talk about some of the best ways to move on after you've been ghosted. All right, so of course, you've got to stop following them on social media. You've got to block yourself from having to see them and have them pop up in your feed. So, later on you can add them back, but right now you've got to move on. You thought this was something that it's not, so cut them out of your sight, your thoughts, and you got to move forward. The next thing you got to do is it's this thing about self-love, all right? So instead of throwing yourself into this, I need you to throw yourself into your passions, into your hobbies, write that book you've always wanted to write, take that course you've always wanted to take. Make sure that in this wallow period, during this time frame where you're just feeling sick, like, how could this happen to me? That you take this energy and put it towards making you better, right? This is part of the problem. When someone leaves you high and dry, you've got to get yourself together very quickly and get back in the game of life. You can't wallow in it. What I always tell you is to take and set a wallow period, right? My wallow period is never past 2 days. Now, if someone passes away, I give myself a year to kind of take care of myself and to move through it. But if it's something like a breakup, I only can wallow in it for 2 days, right? You can give yourself a week, you can give yourself 2 weeks, but don't give yourself any more than 2 weeks for a breakup. During that wallow period, take care of yourself. Do what you feel like doing. Don't go out and have random sex with a bunch of random people because that's destructive behavior. But do what you need to do to kind of get yourself back on track and to get ready for this next chapter, because this next chapter needs to be all about you. It needs to be all about soaring, getting in shape, feeling great, conquering the world, following your dreams, making sure your passion is there, because what's going to happen is that person that ghosted you, the person that decided, hey, this isn't for me, something about this is not right, I'm going to go off and do this other thing. That person who ghosted you is still going to be following you, and then guess what? They're going to see you shining, and I guarantee you they're going to hit you up. And I need for you to be so entrenched in you-ness that you don't even care, you don't even blink. You just have moved on, all right? So this has been Ghosting. All right, so you know why people ghost, you know who ghosts, and really, honestly, if this keeps happening to you or it has happened to you, I think the big thing that we have to do is figure out that it's not you, that it is them, and that it's time to move on. And that I promise you, if you do all those things that I suggested in the move on section, then not only will you move on, but eventually they're going to reach back out and say, hey, just checking on you, thought I'd say hi, or give you that birthday message. And then what's happening at that point? You've created so much shine in your world, in your universe, and on you, that when they text you, you're going to ghost them right back and be like, I'm not interested anymore. And that has to be the goal. So for those of you who are watching this and you want to do what I'm doing, you want to coach people through sex, relationships, loves, breakups, so on and so forth, well, that's why I started the Dr. Rachael Institute. The Dr. Rachael Institute is an online program that trains you to become a sexuality coach, a clinical sexuality coach. We also have launched a program that will certify you to become a sexpert. Maybe you're not interested in love, you're just interested in sex. So whatever it is, we can help you train and launch a program or a platform online where you are the coach, you are the expert, and you help people with their sexuality issues, their relationship issues, matters of the heart. So if you're interested, head over to drrachaelinstitute.com and learn more about our program. You just have to spell Rachael right. So you see on the bottom there, Rachael. So go ahead and put in doctor, then that Rachael, and then institute.com. Go ahead and check it out. Also, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Rachael's, DrRachael, and make sure you like this video. Make sure you turn on your subscriptions. Go ahead and subscribe, and then turn on your notifications so that you get notified every time I go live, so that you can be here with me and we can interact a little bit. But also, one more thing. I came up with this ghosting topic because you asked me about it. So ask me questions, send me messages, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's here. Just let me know what you want more of and what you'd like to see, so that we can dive right into the science behind it and make it real easy, real simple, real fun, and real. I'm not going to sugarcoat things here. This is an opportunity for me to teach, to help you grow, and for you to pass this on and share it with loved ones who need this information too. So use that feature as well. Make sure you share this with anyone you think who needs it, because ghosting hurts. It feels like a heartbreak because of the reasons that we spoke mostly about, because of the frustration attraction, because of the unanswered questions, because of the why me. So take all of that, and I hope this helps. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.